Welcome back, troglodytes, to Would You Rock or Not. Today we have to cover a new model Gibson just released, or more accurately, reissued. My absolute favorite budget model guitar of all time, the Paul. Now, if you haven't checked out any of my other separate reviews of the original The Pauls from 1978 and 79, as well as early 80 before they changed the name to Firebrand, definitely check out some of these other videos. I highly recommend these guitars to anybody who's just getting into older instruments, but doesn't have a huge budget. Because these guitars, they have the same electronics as the higher end guitars of the era, and they're just fantastic. So let's take a look and compare the original ones to this new reissue. Gibson is referring to this as the 40th anniversary of the Paul, which is a nice throwback to the original release date of these instruments. You have a complete walnut body again, which is great. I'm glad they didn't mess that up. You've got the correct contours on the face of the instrument. These aren't necessarily carved top Les Pauls like you'll normally see, but they do have these comfort carves, which makes them easy to play. I'm absolutely in love that they left the headstock natural like they did with the original run and didn't put a black holly veneer over it. And they even put a The Paul truss rod cover on it. I almost wish they would have changed that a little bit and put anniversary under it to kind of give it a more special flavor. On the back of the instrument, you have those continued comfort carves, and it's just solid pieces of woods together. There is no walnut top, walnut back. It's just a slab body. And walnut is a very beautiful wood. It's gonna vary heavily depending on which example you get. Some of them are going to have really beautiful wood grain, and some are going to be more plain than others. From the back, you can also see they kept the original control layout design, which some people might not like if they're not going for vintage accuracy. I was also pleased to see that they left the volute in place at the back of the headstock. These also have walnut necks, so that's not something you see every day on a Gibson. But here's the one thing they got wrong. The original run has ebony fretboards. This one, it has rosewood. Now, you can't really blame them because Gibson kind of pretty much stopped using ebony except for on really high-end stuff because it's hard for them to source. The rosewood doesn't excite me too much. I think it would have been cooler if they would have went for some sort of alternative. I would have been okay with Richlight on this model. I also think it would have been cool if they would have toyed with the idea of a walnut fretboard. I looked that up online. I guess there's some caveats to using walnut, but we got stuck with rosewood, which is not a terrible thing. It has a standard Nashville-styled bridge and tailpiece with Gibson's 490R 498T series pickups. They also stuck with Grover tuners, which is what the originals would also have. So overall, 2019. Gibson does have a new CEO, but I don't think we can give this model to Curly yet, because this was released technically when Juskowitz was still in power. But if this is any sign of the future for Gibson, great things. So this is a fairly accurate recreation of the original The Paul series. Besides the fretboard, everything else is looking pretty darn good to me. But how much does it cost? Ooh, $13.99. Okay, first off, you cannot compare new prices to used prices. Those markets are completely different, so this argument is pretty much invalid. But for that kind of money, you can buy a mint condition original one of these with original chainsaw case, and probably still have some money spare. But if you compare this to a regular Les Paul Studio and other new models, I feel that these are a pretty decent deal. So much in fact, I was going to buy one of these. Sweetwater had a floor model, and before I could even call my sales engineer, somebody bought it. It's oh great, I guess I'll just make a rocker knot out of it then. But I'm hopeful that I will get one of these in hand to see if it actually plays and feels the same way. Because it looks the part, but I'm guessing it might not sound as good as the originals because you're missing those T-top pickups. This is a limited edition run, which hopefully means there's less than 400 of these made, because then I could see them becoming slightly collectible. This is actually not the first time they reissued the Paul. In 1996 through 1998, there was one they called the Paul II. Now, these weren't really reissues, they were just kind of building upon the series, as they were a pure mahogany body with your typical carved top, but with that throwback comfort carve on the back. They also had a black headstock veneer and the rosewood fretboard, and personally, I've never heard fantastic things about this model, and they sell for relatively cheap prices. And unfortunately, at this point in time, so early in release, there are no playing samples of these, but I will leave you with a playing sample of an original. The only question left, would you rock a 40th anniversary The Paul or not? Leave your answer down in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we will see you on the next episode. Take care.